Welcome back to Yuri's Creepypasta Storytime, the segment where I totally didn't have to change the name and am going to have to make a new playlist for this video series. Yeah. And today we're continuing on the theme of Spooky Finger Puppet Ghost Month with a story that is almost an hour long and could possibly be one of the most incoherent things I have ever read. Granted, I have not fully read the remake of Sonic.exe, although we're going to get to it, so, we'll see about that. Let's not waste any more time. Okay, let's just hop right into it. Today, I'm going to tell you the story, the quote-unquote story of Ash's Coma theory thingy. Have you ever noticed that the pacing, tone, and story development of Pokémon changes after Ash is hit by lightning in the early episodes? And by episodes, you mean just the one episode, episode 1. And no, I haven't really ever noticed that, honestly. But how Ash and his world are relatively normal until after that incident. And normal, I mean, that's relative, because we live in a world where there aren't any schools, and when you're 10 years old, you leave your house to go on journeys to capture animals and make them fight each other. That's normal to someone, but I wouldn't qualify it as normal, no. But I have a theory. Great! The accident with the bike put Ash into a coma. Days later, he was found and hurried to the hospital. The Pokemon Center. He's a Pokemon, right? We don't have actual hospitals, okay? And treated with heavy medications. Take these antidepressants, Ash. It'll be great. This is why Team Rocket became less menacing. The medication took effect and stabilized on... I'm sorry. What were we talking about again? Okay, the medication took effect and stabilized I'm gonna leave that in the video, by the way. Stabilized his coma dreams so that instead of being terrifying, they became idyllic. This is the third story in a row where someone's just throwing in a word that has no business being in here. Stop doing that, people. God damn it. They allowed him to live out his Pokemon Master fantasies. After the beginning episodes, the series is the result of Ash's subconscious mind fulfilling his desire as well as attempting to escape reality. Should Ash realize he's in a coma, he would wake up and suffer brain damage. How? I'm awake. Oh God. I'm sorry, but so he must take down all his mental barriers one by one. But if he can do that, he can come to grips with who he is and escape his coma. That's how comas work, you guys. Comas, peoples. Woo! Further evidence, by the way, comes from the realization that even though his journeys take him vast distances, he never usually travels by bike due to having developed a phobia of them. Remember that episode where we had to go over Ash's phobia of bikes? I don't. Whoever wrote this remembers it far better than I do. It must have been a magical episode. I bet Team Rocket showed up, tried to steal the bike. It was wacky fun. Oh yeah, so the coma and the fantasy explains, okay, we're gonna get an explanation, let's do this, I'm sorry I stuttered, why he never changes much. That still doesn't explain why he never ages much, though, because he's still like 10 years old, and it's been a long time. I'm older than him, and I was born before the show started, so one of us has a problem, and it's probably me. It explains the worldwide socialism. Why is socialism in the story? Socialism, as he thought up a safe system of government that would run smoothly and keep the world going, allowing his adventures to work like they do magic. It also explains how a child can go off on his own into a world full of dangerous and untamed animals. Does that... No, it doesn't. That doesn't explain any of that. That still sounds completely dangerous, honestly. You're 10. Look, just go outside, play with the Needle King. Have fun. Be a kid. In addition, though, it also explains why every town has the same police wait. It explains how every town has the same police officer and every Pokemon Center has the same nurse. Do you have cloning technology in this theory of yours? So, that makes perfect sense. That they cloned them all, and that's why they're all there. Oh God, I'm glad it finally makes sense. God damn it! Joy and Jenny he knew from his hometown, and they act as a safety net or anchor. A safety anchor, allowing him to feel safe no matter where he goes. Like how every day Team Rocket tries to steal Pikachu, but he's safe because they're incompetent at their jobs. I don't know what to tell you. They represent stability is what I'm trying to get at here with this theory, I guess, apparently. The professor represents Ash's ideals, okay, everybody? Which is why Gary became a professor, because Gary is so idealistic. Huh. See? I just made that up. That's not in the story. But the fantasy also explains, a lot of things explain a lot of other things if you're just making everything up off the top of your head. Just throwing that out there. But the fantasy also explains why every time he enters a new region that virtually no one has heard of him, despite his conquests. Oh yeah, that Ash Ketchum kid. You remember his conquest when he almost won all those tournaments and then he lost because he sucks? Oh yeah, he's famous. Everyone loves that Ash Ketchum. But how else could Paul, the rival of the Sinnoh area, not know of someone who placed at least in top 16 of all 3 leagues and destroyed the Orange League and Battle Frontier? Well, Orange League wasn't even canon, for one thing. And then, as for being in top 16, I can't even remember for Street Fighter tournaments who's in top 16 half the time. I remember like 5 players, and that's about it. Sorry. But the story is segueing itself. Moving on to the characters closer to him, ... Ash's traveling partners are aspects of himself he can enjoy, but cannot associate with himself. That doesn't seem to make sense, but I'll keep reading. Brock is Ash's repressed sexuality. Yeah, you heard it here first. Look. Brock, he's Ash's repressed sexuality. You're just gonna have to deal with that, okay? He's in a coma. Ash fell into the coma of virgin. Oh no. Okay. And as such, needed an outlet for his growing sexual frustrations. I don't think this theory is very good. However, he can never experience sex. Brock must never succeed. Succeed at what? Brock can't succeed. Don't ask what we're talking about. He can't, though. Brock stay with Professor Ivy was an attempt by Ash's mind to repress his sexuality. And also to kick Brock off the show for a little bit, because that's fine. But Brock isn't just a projection of Ash's sexuality, but also a projection of Ash's fatherly instincts. Because nothing says fatherly instincts like never having a father. He leaves his siblings to journey with Ash because he can't cope with having that much responsibility. But you may notice that James got much more dialogue in this part of the series, as well as getting more touchy-feely with his Pokemon, and and exposing much of his backstory Ash didn't enjoy this much. Ash was not a fan of what was going on there. Everyone disliked that, especially Ash. Which is why Brock returns, horrified, and refuses to speak about it. About what? James? What? Nah, I don't care. Ash's subconscious was representing him at the time, so other than a general feeling of dread, he has no idea what happened. Further evidence of Brock being Ash's sexuality, by the way, is that he keeps returning the series. He keeps giving it back. Brock's a giver. He wants to give Pokemon to everyone. That's just the kind of person he is. But he keeps returning to the series after Ash meets a new female aspect of himself. Okay, well, that theory's been debunked already, so Misty is the first such aspect we encounter, because she is the first and is merely an aspect of Ash, are explanations as to why Misty plays such a prominent role in the show, but is ultimately unobtainable because he never really knew her before the coma. I'm pretty sure Misty played a prominent role in the series because people liked the Misty character and they got pissed when she left the show. So I'm going to go with that theory over your theory. But since Misty is his initial love interest, and in parentheses, if only subconsciously, he needed her to reach a certain level of womanhood, I'm sorry. The last line just hit me. He felt that people could only have relationships after they're matured. That is true. In practice, however, he finds he can't cope with it as he lacks real-world experience. He wants the normal, pushy, arrogant Misty he knew, thus not letting her keep Togepi. We can see this arc in the constant berating of his sexuality. When was the episode of Pokemon where we had a constant berating of Ash's sexuality? I don't remember that one. Was it when he got Charizard? But her eventual mellowing until she had faded into the background. Since Ash was quite attached to her, this was traumatizing. In a related note, that episode of Pokemon with Porygon in it was also traumatizing, except that was actually traumatizing and this isn't. But after this experience, anyone around him threatening to mature quickly ends up leaving, only for another, more naive fill-in to enter his life. Okay. Gary Oak is what Ash wants to... My cursor was over that, so I read do. It says B. It should have said do, though. This isn't a fan fiction. You could probably find that, though. He is wish fulfillment. I thought he was Gary. He succeeded and then settled down to a normal life. Ash needs someone to succeed in his world, or he won't be able to validate it and will start questioning why he is where he is. It's a subconscious trap to keep him from becoming too aware of his situation. Oh no! His mind must have figured out that awareness of the coma around would snap him out of it. So it took something the boy already loved and build a way out of him with it. We're gonna cut a hole through Ash and we're gonna escape. However, Ash is too complicated to make a final stand and fights his way out of it and cannot escape. I'm really confused right now. This is why he keeps encountering legendary Pokemon. That explains everything, right? But they're his mind's way of showing him he can do great things. Remember in the first episode when he saw Ho-Ho fly away and then that's all that happened? Ash did great things! But he can only do great things if he tries. So electrocute yourself and damage your Pikachu. See a legendary Pokemon, be a somebody. It's a way to encourage him to push forwards. in multiple directions, apparently. Team Rocket are the qualities of himself that Ash deems negative, but is coming to terms with. Jesse and James want to appease Giovanni, Ash's father figure. Because in my fan fiction, Giovanni is Ash's father. In the actual show, probably not, but that's his father figure. He looks up to him. To achieve this, Jessie will trick the submissive James into doing her bidding. Meowth especially wants to appease him because he remembers the good times with Giovanni. Do not elaborate on that at all. This places Meowth, damn it, into a category known as Ash's, and in parentheses, corrupted innocence. Very dramatic, by the way. This is apparently because Meowth is able to speak. In fact, the whole reason Meowth can speak is so Ash can eventually escape the aspect of Team Rocket as part of himself. This is so easy to follow along with. If anyone's confused, I can't see why. But Ash had issues with his father. The main issue being, I don't think he exists. I think Professor Oak is his father, actually. But, so he put him stop the... That doesn't make sense. Ash had issues with his father, so he put him stop the evil corporization and demonize him. This story is badly translated. There may have been an actual Team Rocket, and in parentheses, in the real world... But this is the Coma world, which is not the real world. But it's doubtful that Ash's father is their leader. I'd say it's not even a thing. I don't think he is. But whatever. Ash likely, though, feels the split between his parents was partly his fault. That does make sense. But also partly blames his father. Make up your mind, Ash. Is it your fault or is it your fake dad's fault? The split caused his mother to move out of the city down to Pallet Town, and is one reason why Ash initially embarks on his journey. I thought he embarked on his journey to become a Pokemon master and not find his father. But no, in reality, he left home to escape the turmoil at home. It was awful. Free meals. It's the worst thing ever. The whole organization, including Butch and Cassidy, is symbolic of his inability to escape his father's machinations. Another word that doesn't belong. James is implied homosexual. The story is reaching, honestly. Which does not necessarily make Ash homosexual, mind you. And what the hell word is this? And Bitty? I don't know about you. You go sit in the corner with the rest of the words. I'll get back to you. Well, Jesse is vanity and manipulation. Since Meowth has the potential for rehabilitation and doesn't want to be evil, this once again fits with the conflicting personalities and the demonized self theory. Team Rocket cross-dresses. I'm sorry. Anyways, look, Team Rocket, they're into lots of stuff. But yeah, Team Rocket cross-dresses because Ash is exploring his gender, obviously. A different facet than what Brock represents. Sexuality, in parentheses. And this was a method that allowed his vain side to experiment freely. Okay, well, I mean, I'm still confused either way, so I may as well have been equipment freely. Equipment freely is officially canon in this story. When he found that it wasn't something for him, he stopped playing with it. What? This is a very confusing story. Why is this on the Creepypasta wiki? But Max came with May. He played this Go, and she played the ID with great aspirations in that session. I'm sorry, let's read that one more time. Max came with May. He played the ego and she played the ID. I don't know what you are. But sure, you played the ID with the great aspirations in that session. Way to go, ID. They worked for a little while, but with Ash being a teenager, this story is way too obsessed with sexuality. It's honestly more fan fiction than it says creepypasta. When's a console gonna come to life and try and destroy everything I hold dear? That's a creepypasta. This is, man. You know, Ash being a teenager, his sexuality had to come back into play. It didn't have to. You wrote the story. You could have not had it happen. Damn it. He kept reinventing himself as different versions of the same 10-year-old. Eventually wrote new aspects, but his mind slowly brought the old ones back as a crutch to make the transition easier. Dawn, is Ash giving himself a chance to love? No, since he already established Misty as someone who's not likely to go anywhere with. I mean, you know, to be fair, he never asked her out. Sometimes you gotta make the first move, Ash Ketchum. But he created a new super female. Come on. No. Dawn's a super female. Alright. Anyway, he created a super female. One that was more like him and less violent. You may note that while both May and Misty have no tolerance for Brock's behavior, Dawn seems to try to shrug it off. Tracy, the breeder, is a sicko, was a possible future for Ash that he discarded. I thought Tracy was a discarded character that everyone forgot, but this future was one that he had off of work with the professor, Ash's ultimate ideal of a father figure. Yes, oh my god. When Tracy disrupted the dynamic Ash had with his other possibilities. With Ash's mind fighting the coma. How's it doing? Did he faint yet? And Ash is viewing this person as a companion. Tracy was quickly replaced with a more threatening rival. More threatening than Tracy. Who could that even possibly be? Is it Brock? Pikachu represents Ash's humanity. This rodent represents humanity. And hand him over to Giovanni. Who are we handing over to, Giovanni? Jesse and James will always oppose Ash because he is terrified of the thought of his humanity lying in the hands of his father. However, this is the same reason we will work with those aspects of himself in order to save humanity, and couldn't evolve Pikachu because that would mean changing his concept of who he was, which was something that wasn't comfortable with. Well, oh god, it's been 25 minutes. Well, anyways, the narrator is Ash's higher mind, recapping and explaining the progress he's made and the tribulations he will face, as well as saying to be continued at the end of every episode, because gotta pretend everything's a two-parter, a forever two-parter that never ends. The narrator also allowed insight into how to best awaken him. Side note, Team Rocket's methods gradually became more and more ludicrous because Ash is a only child, dreaming things up in a coma, may I add. That is why Team Rocket's disguises are always believed. He knows it's them. He's just sandbagging. Also in parentheses, at least on a subconscious level. On a non-subconscious level, Ash is stupid, but chooses to ignore it so he can better himself. You guys dressed up in costume, I feel pretty good about myself. In a sense, the Ash who wants to escape is sabotaging the Ash who wants to stay lost in his mind so that there can be more conflict and hopefully, an eventual escape, the escape of a consequence of coming to terms with who he is. As mentioned previously, Team Rocket are a method to Ash to deal with the grounds he's uncomfortable with facing on his own. I think Team Rocket is just an evil organization that's hell-bent on destroying the world and capturing Pokemon and wearing the color black. But you may recall that this story is somehow still going on, that early in the show there were animals and references to animals. I don't remember that, but it was funny. I'm sleepy. For example, the fish in the aquarium of the Cerulean City Gym, or that Pokedex lists Pikachu as rat-like. Those animals don't matter to Ash's psyche, so they don't come into play much. If Ash loved puppies. You ever think about that? What about airplane food? What if Ash loved puppies? But look, if Ash loved puppies, follow me for a sec, everything would be about different breeds of dogs and dog fighting circuits. Comas don't work like this, I think. I'm not a doctor, but puppies. But as the series goes on, you see fewer realistic animals and more Pokemon. Oh, this could be a sign of Ash's mind deteriorating, or, it could just be an oversight in some of the earlier episodes where they accidentally included real animals before realizing, oh wait, we don't have any real animals. That's my guess. That's my theory. But as he's in the coma, he's losing concepts of some animals and machinery and replacing them with Pokemon. It would explain things. It could explain things, hold on to your seats, like electric Pokemon working as power generators. There are signs that his memory of the old world is slipping more and more as time goes by. The Pokemon realm will be idealized continuously the longer he has no stimulus from the real world. Ash may or may not be mentally deteriorating, but he is 10 years old forever until the end of time, and also he is becoming more accustomed to his fake world's rule. The wild Pokemon are his rationalizations for the functions of his created there are random battles because of the realizations of my created fantasy. Damn it! It's like a wizard did it syndrome. Yeah, okay. If he doesn't know how it works, his mind says Pokemon. Ash, what is 16 times 3,860? Pokemon. And that's why Ash wasn't allowed back in school ever again. The Pokemon in Ash's team, however, serve the purpose of displaying his issues and aspects of himself. For example, Charmander represents his sex drive. just going straight into it, aren't we? You sicko. But yeah, his sex drive. But not his sexuality, like Brock. Thank you, parentheses, you saved the day. But at first, it's a cute, easy thing to control, but eventually becomes a raging inferno of disobedience. Since Ash has no real understanding of his sexuality, how would he ever be expected to deal with a Charizard? That's not in the story, but it should be. Thus, he has no way to vent or keep it in check. How is any of this related to any of this other stuff? It's like you took a bunch of random stuff and tried piecing it together into a story, but it's not really working at all. And I'm really confused right now. I have no idea what's going on. At one point, I think you introduced 2 Ash Ketchums, so I don't know. And yet, the story keeps going on. Bulbasaur was his unwillingness to change, reflected in when it declines to evolve and almost decided to stay behind until he battled it. Squirtle was his willingness to wear sunglasses. Also, to follow the lead of others, as evidenced by the gang you ran with where he wore sunglasses. Even though he ran the gang, they were viewed as one group, and Ash's subconscious gave him the strongest one. Ash can subconsciously summon the strongest Pokemon possible. He's a Pokemon master. Butterfree was his crushing loneliness. Huh. Wait, Butterfree is his crushing loneliness? Didn't you trade Butterfree for Eradicate in that boat episode because you suck? Anyways, his crushing loneliness or whatever, which he dealt with when he released it to join a flock. His bird types are his recklessness, always willing to sacrifice something at a moment's notice for the win. When Ash is trading Pokemon, it's an attempt to push his own problems away on someone else. Do you see this Charizard? He hates me. Take him. However, he realizes this and usually trades back very quickly. Not only are Ash's Pokemon a manifestation of different parts of himself, the Pokemon of other trainers are as well. The world literally revolves around Ash Ketchum. That's main character as hell. Coughing and Ekans were symbolic of Team Rocket's willingness to change, hence their evolutions. When they evolved, they changed. Once his mind was able to overcome that roadblock and allow them to change once, it gave him the chance to truly change. An interesting note, don't believe you, is that Pupitar is a rationalization. A Pokemon a rival caught before they met. Even Ash would become suspicious if everyone he had met had no carryover Pokemon from previous places he had been to. Okay, well I was right because that wasn't interesting and also it confused me more. I'm trying to pay attention to this, but you're making it really hard. But other trainers are more direct forms of his issues. God, everyone walking around is just a daddy issue. Ones he must either come to terms with or outright suppress in Pokemon battles, I imagine. Or pushing them in a lake and then running away. Gym leaders are more primary aspects of his personality, with each Pokemon being stronger than the last to display a level of skill he could only be capable of if he gave into it. In effect, he is doing battle with the part of him that the world would rather not have in control. Originally, Ash had the battles, which evolved into team battles and contests. The explanation for this is that his issues became more and more complicated, and the means of dealing with them needed to be more complex, or they introduced new mechanics in the video games, and then to follow up with that, they did it in the show as well, to kind of cross-promote. That's probably what actually happened, and not what you just said. But the fact that he uses issues he has already dominated to win is a sign he's growing stronger. But he's still so short and 10 years old. Where's the theory about that? Ash is 10 years old. Forever. Yuriofwind's new Creepypasta book. Ash releases his Pokemon because his mind is forcing him to get go of them. Ash releases his Pokemon because his mind is forcing him to get go of them. Get gone, Charizard. Get gone, Butterfree. I don't need you anymore. Get out of here. The second he raises an overpowered team, a tournament comes up, and after fighting his way through it, he has to go to a new land for new challenges. However, with an overpowered team, there won't be any challenges or any way to motivate him further or advertise all the new Pokemon so people buy the video games and everyone will make money at Nintendo. But they won't look like Mother 3. That Ash wants to stay in the Coma and keep journeying, hands his solved issues over Professor Oak so he can continue and overcome the unresolved ones. This is essentially his mind forcing him to deal with his issues. Ash's rivals... this isn't a story, is it? It's just here's a bunch of paragraphs. It's not an actual story, but I'm going to put it on the Creepypasta wiki anyways. Ash's rivals and the Elite Four are ultimately the strongest parts of this cycle, having Pokemon that are essentially godlike. Not even true. That's not even close to being true. They suck. They represent both what can be obtained and what is unobtainable, like muscles. Ash's rivals are all possible futures he envisions for himself, like when Ash met that rival named Lad who talked about his shorts, Ash thought to himself, I could live in a future where I wear shorts. And that was very exciting for him. Let me tell you something. This originated with Gary Oak, someone Ash knew from real life, and built up into a sort of god into his mind. I think Gary built himself into being a god inside his mind, but however, Gary progressed and changed to suit Ash's vision of himself and his ultimate desire, eventually settling down into a professor role after beating the Elite Four. With Gary Oak in retirement, what? From what? He's retired from being a professor already? Oak is so old though. But yeah, his mind needed a new rival for him. This all sounds like a metaphor for like dating. And Ash is terrible at it. Just, oh, this didn't work out. Well, let me jump into this new rival. He'll treat me right. And thus, the births of Richie. The good aspect of his rivalry and Paul. Paul is his mind's last-ditch efforts to snap him out of it, to force Ash to actually come to terms that this perfect world is not the best option, even though it is perfect, or path to be waking up. Paul is Ash's shadow. Oh. And then he's going to have to fight Paul, because that's his true self, and then he's going to unlock his persona, and it's going to be great. And Doc's going to show up, everyone's going to dance, it'll be fun. One that wants to push even harder and harder. He is the part of Ash that will stop at nothing to escape the Coma world. Mewtwo is a new form of treatment. So apply Mewtwo twice a day on the problem area, and it should go away. Or, maybe. Done with electrical impulses and a machine to know Ash out of it. Taking down every last one of his mental guards, the original Pokemon in the movie. Oh god, now we're referencing the movie. Is that even canon? Damn it. In Ash's mind, Mewtwo and his clones were, in parentheses, in the real world, the treatment for the mental safeguards that were protecting Ash and keeping him comatose, the Pokemon of his world. The clones were counters to the issues Ash had thought solved, and each appeared to Ash as the exact copy of his defiance. The clones didn't play by the rules of Ash's world. These clones don't play by your rules, Ash. They didn't use any special attacks or moves. Did they use struggle? They just beat down their counterpart with brute strength. Struggle it is. The treatment was working. My Charizard got the crap kicked out of it. I think I'm gonna be okay, everyone. There were side effects. Do you know how long this story is? It's real long. That's a side effect right there. Also, the electric jolts were beginning to affect Ash's nervous system. We probably shouldn't shock him more, but we're gonna do it just for fun. If the treatment continued, he would be paralyzed. We could wait for him to wake up, but I think we should risk paralyzing him. And then everyone high fives. But his mind manifested this in the dream world by petrifying him. Were it not for the end of the treatment by Ash's mother, who knew her son wouldn't want to live in a world he couldn't explore, Ash would have remained as stone forever. How did he turn to stone? Damn it. After this, Ash needed to recover from the damage caused by the electric therapy in order to reduce the I'm sorry I've sounded very confused while reading this story, but you have to understand that this is a very confusing story. Like, none of this is clicking with me in my head. Even the dumbest stories I've read on this channel have clicked on me to the point where I at least can kind of know what's going on. This is rambling nonsense at best, and I'd like to apologize for that. And I lost my place. After this, Ash needed to recover from the damage caused by the electric therapy. In order to reduce the danger of Ash's consciousness fell from it. His subconscious began downplaying the effects in this world, which is why Pikachu's electric attacks, the ones noted for their strength by Team Rocket, no longer have any effect on Ash other than comic relief. He's in a coma. Pikachu, come in here for a second. I want you to use Thunder Shock on Ash. You guys, it's gonna be hilarious. But as we can see, there are no pictures. I don't see anything. Oh, anyways. As we can see, Ash may well have been trapped forever in this world. However, like every dream, like everything, there is a beginning and an end. I hope we're segueing into an end of something that's closing in on 50 minutes and kind of making me upset. And so confused, my God. But what would happen if Ash never recovered? I guess I would just move on with my life because I don't care. But in the hospital room at the Pokemon Center, we see Delia, obviously distraught. She's talking to a doctor with a grim look on his face. The man is saying their insurance is up and the boy has no change in brain activity in years. The shock of taking him off life support has a very small chance of awakening him. Also, if you could be out by like 3, that'd be great. Because you don't have insurance. So, leave. She tearfully agrees to leave. Back in Ash's world, he has finally defeated the Elite Four, and one by one, the people around him disappear. Eventually, everything is black. Pikachu comes dashing towards you, glowing brighter and brighter in the darkness. Eventually, he reaches Ash, and the two embrace one last time. In the hospital room, his life signs fading, Ash mutters his final words. I want to be the very best. Like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel far and wide, searching across the land. The full song wasn't actually in the story, though, so I'm going to have to dock it 50 points. He will die, never having known his dream of being 10 forever, winning that one tournament. I hope he never wins again. Except as not but a dream. When he came back to reality, he knew it all for the lie it was. Knew it as his imagination. Nothing, that all his efforts, ambitions, and friends were nothing. He let go. As he utters his final words, he barely opens his eyes and sees the silhouette of his mother, her face hidden by her hands wiping away tears. They make eye contact, and one final realization fills him before he loses all strength. He sees that his mother was holding out hope that he'd recover all that time. He sees her and finds that her hope had been broken. Way to go, Ash. Ruined everything. As she'd come to the realization that she'd outlived her only child. Oh, he dies knowing that he is loved, but that it means the one person closest and the most real to him is utterly crushed. I'm sure Professor Oak is going to treat your mom fine, Ash. Don't worry about it. Still, there are other possibilities. The fountain of time flows in mysterious ways. What are you doing? One could not go back against the current, such as Gatsby. Don't bring up Gatsby. However, one could never see what is waiting for him downstream. There was water in this story. Ash finally defeats Lance, only to be confronted by not Gary Oak, but a mute mirror image of himself. That happened in the story, because I don't remember it. But the voice of the narrator speaks to him, telling him that now he can finally escape the prison of his own mind. One by one, his friends appear and melt away into more copies of himself, cheering him on. It's like the ending, the Evangelion. After a long, tough battle against himself and a coma, with the assistance of his Pokemon he had ever befriended, he jolts awake. In the hospital room, he sees his parents. You mean parent. Mother. Only one. Asleep. He finds himself unable to speak. Oh, that was a dope rhyme. Ash pushes towards his recovery. He goes through physical therapy. Training harder and harder with rehabilitative Pokemon until he can walk on his own again. This time, an older and wiser Ash sets out on a journey. This is my fanfiction, you guys. It's starting! Just like the last time, he's late getting to the Professor Oak's laboratory. When there's only one Pokemon left, he suddenly recalls all his memories of his life and realizes all his friends were gone forever. As he sets out with his new companion, he finds the world is darker than he imagined, more real. Pokemon and people die. He, too, has aged. That's even worse than the dying thing. He vows to become the Pokemon Master he dreamed he was. He vows to himself. He vows to them. I will be the very best. Oh, and that's the end of Ash's Coma. What the hell just happened? None of that story was even remotely coherent. Well, for one thing, it wasn't an actual story, because it didn't really tell a journey. I mean, something was going on, because Ash was in a coma, and then there was another Ash, and I guess the Ashes were enemies, but one's the real one, and one's the fake one, but the real one is in the real one world, and the fake one is in the fake Pokemon world, and the story is dumb. This has been Yuri's Creepypasta Storytime. Thank you for watching. Don't read the story. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Enslate, where you just watched the video about Ash's Coma, and I bet you wish you hadn't. Just like I bet I wish I hadn't read this story, but it's been on the bucket list for years now, so hope someone enjoyed it. I'm just glad it's over. It's over. We made it out safe as a team, Team Yuri, which is coincidentally my favorite doujinshi. But I hope you all enjoyed the video and Spooky Finger Puppet Ghost Month, even though I've been sick for most of it, which is fitting, really, honestly. Yeah, what do I do during Enslate? Forget about this. Oh, social media stuff. I have that. I have a YouTube channel. Hey, if you like this video and you want to like it, or subscribe, or leave a comment, or do that stuff, that's greatly appreciated. Thank you. I have a Patreon. If you'd like to support me in the creation of videos, that is a thing that exists. I have a Twitch where I stream live on the internet. Amazing, I know. I have a Twitter, which is, well, I mean, I just kind of have fun with that. And then I have a Facebook, which I often forget exists. Also, Nico does the art, even though I don't use a lot of the art. And I can't use the intro for this segment anymore, so, which sucks because that was my favorite intro out of the three. Anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, but enough of that. I think it's time we got a little thankful all up in here. You know what I'm talking about? That's right. It's time to thank people. And so, as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you Phantom Ganon, Mac Kella, Whitman, Gerardo Echeverra, Skinny720, Deshaun Lewis, aka Shadowwolf720, a mod, and a friend, and a good person. Anal bag. Sorry, I'm 12. Thank you, though. And thank you, Kristen Solo, and Queen Sapphire, Snooper, and Lily Starflame, Mr. Mohawk, Thousand Freckles, Antonio Iguano, Voltron. Hey, it's Brad. That's a good name. Thank you, Yuri's Fat D. I don't know what you're doing in there. And Blinker002, and John Garcia. And thank you, Joseph Almodovar. And thank you, Ragnar the Green, both a mod and also runs the Discord, which I am only mostly afraid of. Thank you, Bradley Harder, Aria, Mark Ryan, Cube Rider. I keep thinking that's an L. Maybe it is an L, and I need new glasses. I could need new glasses. I don't know. But thank you, Michael Holger II, and Airman. You're so difficult to defeat even to this day. Thank you, Nikki Layman, Nolan, Christina, Crunchy Face, good old Fernando Silva. Not a mod, but still a good person. Thank you, Snoopy Spirit. The very spirit of Snoopy is a Patreon. What a world. Thank you, Tropic. I also like that name. Thank you, John Mayer. And the profile pic looks familiar. I won't go into it right now, but it's who I think it is. It's really funny. Also, hey, thank you, Johnny Von Tungen, and Josh Harper, and God of the Gaming Realm. Well, God, I didn't know the God of the Gaming Realm was in here too. Thank you, God of the Gaming Realm. That's such a grandiose name to read. Thank you, Painful Choice. I feel that one. Thank you, Mio Spoo Bunny .gif, or maybe it's GIF. Who's to say? Peanut butter. Thank you, Chutter. Just Plain Jason. Just Plain Jason. I like that. Thank you, Milk Toast MF, and TDSLIG. I can pronounce that. Thank you, Fun Lunday, and Cameron Coultru. That might not be right. If it's wrong, I'm sorry about that. Thank you, D-Man. Land, which I said incorrectly for one thing, but also he's a mod and a friend. Thank you, Louis Pierre Armand. When they're French, I think I got it, because I'm French. I'm also Dutch. Thank you. I'm getting distracted, and someone's getting mad in the comments, but this video is already so long, I don't really care. Thank you, Kami-mun. I got that right-ish. Thank you, S. Oh, thank you. I can't screw that up. It's just a letter. Thank you, the Club Rocker and the Prince of Ravens. There's a prince in here, too? Thank you, Prince. Thank you, GJR78. That's still a Gundam. Thank you, the Sick White Tiger, a friend and a mod. Thank you, Andy Devora and Lily Bunny, and Scott Labar and Dez, aka Is That So? Oh, I get it. Is that so? Okay, I just got that. Thank you, Lucas, and Commentary Sean. Thank you, Commentary Sean, and Justice Thompson, and Rad R, and Nikki Patelli, and Andrew Silverman, Zachary Alexander, Michael P, Elfrey 684. Thank you, Link the 8, and Jameson Wiley, and Friend Carrick, and John Paul Hoare, Mitchell Shore, Abdul Kareem Tor as rhyming. The wheels in the bus go da da da. Thank you, Greg Wolf, Mr. Bowler, Am Gamers, Mio Kuroshima, Escape Route British, Kenpachi Ramasama, Eric Camacho, Ryan Cole. The Red 9 in RE4 is a good gun. I would like to add. Hannah was here. Hello. And there's a face after that, but I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't. And thank you, Problematic, and thank you everyone who supports me on Patreon and watches my videos and likes them for some reason. And hey, let's check and see how long this is. Oh wow, we're only at like 7 minutes. That's not too bad. Okay, well, this video is over then. I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy reading it, but I hope you enjoyed listening to my mind slowly unravel over the course of about 50 minutes. Hope everyone has a nice day. Love you all. Thank you for watching the video. And until next time, this has been Yuriofwind. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Have a nice day. Toodles.